Hello, my name is Scott. I'm going to be your YouTube companion here for the next maybe hour or so. What I'm going to be doing on this channel is delving into metal albums. I'm going to be reacting to metal albums. They're going to be long videos. What I'm going to do to try to help you guys out with that is I'm going to put timestamps to my favorite songs in the description and in the comments, so that you guys, if you want to, you can fast forward to some of the songs that I really enjoyed, and probably some of the bigger songs, more well-known songs as well on the albums. But my aim here is to do reactions to albums from metal bands that are not necessarily the most popular bands. I want to hit up a lot of obscure, mid-level, and lesser known artists and give them some promotion and some shine on this channel. So I have to say that I don't make any money off this channel. These videos are heavily edited so as to avoid copyright issues, and I do give my commentary throughout the album reactions. So there's going to be some stopping and starting and some pausing, and I want to apologize for that up front. If you want to listen to the album in its entirety without me giving my feedback or my commentary, the original link to the album in its entirety is going to be in the description. So just go ahead and click that link, and you'll be able to enjoy it without me talking over it. So thank you for stopping by. If you have any suggestions for future album reactions, please put them in the comment section. Please keep the comment section civil, okay? I don't want any personal attacks, no trolling, no shit posting, and just no irrelevant or trivial information, please. Put what you want to hear me do in the comment section. I'll see what I can do. These take a long time to do. Yeah, I don't know how many I'm going to be able to get up a week. I'm trying this out, and I'm going to see what I can do, what I have time for, and see what sticks. So if you enjoy this video, again, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. That's it for the introduction. I hope you guys enjoy the video. What's up, boys and girls? We're going to do another album reaction. This is by a band that I actually am already familiar with. It's Wolves in the Throne Room. I think they're a really solid black metal band, and they're pretty current. Their debut album came out in 2006, and they just released Thrice Woven. I don't remember when exactly it was released, but I know it was their most recent one. I've seen them live. I saw them with Enslaved and Chemists, and Wolves in the Throne Room is just a quality band. They played a really good set. I think the songs that they chose for the set might have dragged just a little bit, got a little bit repetitive. I just think that they have a lot going for them. They're very talented, and they just make quality modern black metal, and I think a lot of people in the black metal community like these guys and look up to these guys. So I'm going to do Diadem of 12 Stars. Like I said, this is their album, this is their debut that came out in 2006 and got them picked up by Southern Lord Records. So it's a very long album. It's about an hour. It's an hour and 38 seconds. It's classified as black metal and dark ambient, and that's kind of why I chose it, because I like black metal that sort of adds different textures and different sounds and experiments and is a little bit off the wall and outside of the traditional mold of black metal. And I'm hoping that this thing can sort of hold my interest and keep things varied and interesting by experimenting with these different sounds. That's what I'm hoping I'll get out of this thing. The songs are really, really long, so this is the opposite of NASM, right, where we had 30-second songs, a minute-and-a-half songs, whatever. These songs are all 13 minutes or longer, and there's only 4 of them. The last one is 20 minutes. So I think what I'm going to do is treat this sort of like a regular album, except I'm going to try to split up each song and talk about it a third of the way through, and then 2/3 of the way through, and then afterwards, and sort of give my thoughts. I don't want to just sit here for 20 minutes and not say anything. I don't think that's going to be good for you guys, and it's going to be, you know, unproductive for me because I'm going to be having thoughts about the music and I won't be able to share them, and then by the time I get to the end I won't even remember what I was going to say. So that's how I think I'm going to break it up. We've only got 4 tracks. Again, this is Wolves in the Throne Room, Diadem of 12 Stars. We're going to go ahead with it. We're going to go with the first song. This is called Queen of Borrowed Light. You know what's crazy is that this sort of reminds me a little bit of some of the Galax material, or Agalok, for those of you who are sticklers for pronunciation. Overall, it's very soothing. It's just, black metal started out as this very primitive, aggressive, in-your-face kind of music, and it kind of evolved in a lot of different directions. And here, this is music that, like, for somebody who listens to a lot of extreme metal, this is very, very soothing right here. This isn't abrasive or jarring or grating at all. This is very, very smooth, and I don't know if these are vocals or what these are, but maybe I could just back it up and show you guys what I'm talking about. Yeah, you hear that? I don't know if those are vocals or what those are. It sounds like that those may be clean vocals. I think that sounds really cool on this track. And I love the kind of the album cover, and then what I'm hearing so far. It's got this very sort of mystical, kind of beautiful vibe to it, to the music. I don't know what Queen of Borrowed Light means, but so far I'm enjoying this. It's definitely not moshing music, but it's very beautiful, very interesting black metal. this also, in the riff writing, I hear, this is going to surprise some of you maybe, but I want to preface what I'm about to say with, it sounds as if this band is getting a lot out of simple riffs. Like they're repeating simple riffs for long periods of time. It's not boring per se, because the atmosphere and the soundscape that's being presented in the music, to me, is very captivating. It's interesting. It's enveloping. So I'm enveloped in the soundscape, and I'm just kind of allowing the guitar passages to sort of take me on this journey through this soundscape. And it's not like I'm waiting for the next badass riff to happen so I can bang my head. You know, this is a totally different animal right here. And another band that I must say that I started listening to heavily in the last 6 months, that's really good at getting a lot out of short, simple riffs, is the band Neurosis, the post-metal band. People may say that this doesn't have anything to do with something like Neurosis, and I must say Neurosis is a lot weirder than this is, especially if you listen to some of their early work, like Souls at Zero, for example. I think that band and a band like this, I think they both do a good job of sort of milking the riffs that they have in their arsenal and getting the absolute most out of them. And I also, strangely enough, like, this album's also making me think of a little bit of Deafheaven Sunbather. I don't know why, but it seems almost as if there's a little bit of post-rock and post-metal in this. Not so much in the songwriting or the... It's I guess for me, it's more, it has to do with the way the guitars sound. It reminds me of some of that Deafheaven stuff as well. So I'm pretty sure that Deafheaven was listening to these guys, that the guys in Deafheaven have probably heard this album and pulled a little bit of the sound from this album and probably others that Wolves in the Throne Room have done and applied it to their own music. So, because I know this came out maybe like 10 years before Deafheaven Sunbather did. So far, I'm surprised too that, you know, we got this pretty standard black metal first 4 or 5 minutes. You know, it sounded like black metal by the numbers almost, and then the music changed almost completely, and we got this real doomy section. I thought that was really cool. I didn't expect to hear the music get slowed down like that. Yeah, overall, there's a lot to like here. I mean, I'm entertained completely. I'm going to let the rest of this song play out. So again, that was Queen of Borrowed Light, 12 minutes and 58 seconds. That was the shortest song on the album. I thought that was badass. It was really good. With 13 minutes, never got bored once. I think that this was just a showcase of their ability to do several different things. You know, the traditional black metal stuff, the doom metal, and then you've got elements of sounds like post-rock or post-metal thrown into. It's mystical, it's atmospheric, it's a little bit dark, it's really, really interesting music. And I think that this was a good intro track because I think it sets the table for the rest of the album. You know, I'll be interested to see where they kind of go from here, because with a track like this, it's almost like the band's letting you know, hey, you know, we're pretty dynamic. We can do these different things. So the first track is sort of just a showcase for that. And then the rest of these tracks, I'm thinking, will be more of them playing to their strengths, you know, whatever those are. I'm not really sure what those are yet, at least not on this album. We're going to move on to track number 2. It's called Face in a Nighttime Mirror Part 1. It's 13 minutes and 20 seconds. Yeah, you can tell this isn't black metal that's trying to be satanic. It's not trying to be evil. This has the feeling to me again, and maybe the album cover is giving me this feeling particularly, but just also the sound of the music. This makes me feel like one of those black metal albums that's more about nature. It's got more of a reverence for nature, and this seems more like something, and I'm not going to get into the lyrics, but just off face value, what I'm hearing and what I'm seeing with the album cover, it feels like this is something that's more focused on recognizing the darkness and the beauty of the natural world instead of shoving Satan down your throat. So that's the vibe that I'm getting, and I like that. I mean, to me, the whole Satanism thing is kind of one note, and I don't have a particular problem with it. It's not like I'm complaining because I disagree with that viewpoint. Well, I shouldn't say that. I don't agree with it either. I'm just saying I'm not on a crusade against satanic themes and imagery in black metal. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying that it's really, I love it when bands, they talk about something earthy and real and that we can all connect to and relate to. And they're not just trying to be edgy or scary with their imagery and their lyricism. So yeah, this definitely feels like an album that I could take on a nice road trip somewhere up through the Pacific Northwest. I don't know where these guys are from, but this gives me like a feeling of the Pacific Northwest for some reason. So maybe I can find out, look and find out where they're from. Olympia, Washington. Did I not nail that? Oh my God, man. God, I'm a genius sometimes. How did I know that? I think it's easy to tell, man. Look at this album cover and the whole vibe of the music. It's like an ode to their part of the United States, like the natural world around them in a way. Isn't that like a thing? Like Pacific Northwest black metal? I know, I think a Gallic is from that area as well. I don't know where they're from exactly, but yeah, this is very, very cool. I dig stuff like this. I think it's great. I know that a lot of black metal, it's trying to be, at least with the theme and the message behind it, it's trying to somehow like subvert Christianity, specifically Christianity's influence on European culture and society. So a lot of bands, black metal bands, will kind of either talk about Satan or they'll bring in pagan values and pagan themes and pagan religion, because I guess if you ask them, according to them, paganism, like pagan tribes and pagan cultures were there before Christians came. There is a lot of black metal that actually is more themed about nature, specifically like the woods, you know, rivers, streams, mountains, snow, rain. This album, I think, fits in that category. I don't think they're going for paganism per se, but there's a certain ode to the natural process and to nature's process and to nature itself. I don't have to read the lyrics to know that. I can just feel it in the music. So I'm going to go ahead and get back to it. This manages to be doomy without being depressing, and it manages to be black metal without being dark. Maybe that's why I brought up the name Deafheaven earlier, why it made me think of Deafheaven, because Sunbather in particular is like black metal for people who don't like black metal, basically. Who don't like any of the black metal themes and motifs that have pretty much run the genre, reigned supreme for decades. To me, yeah, this is a more earthy, naturalistic kind of approach. I wish a lot more black metal was like this, man. I could get more into the genre, because I guess when it comes to black metal, I just get so bored with the traditional way of doing it. And I like to see bands who kind of branch out from that a little bit. And this feels like it's branching out. Not a ton, not a ton. It's not like listening to like an Enslaved record or something where you're like, man, they're breaking a lot of conventions. It's definitely got a different emotional taste and texture. I'm enjoying this so far. Nothing about the instrumentation is really, I haven't talked much about it just because I'm listening to it and there's nothing that I really feel like I need to say about it. Like, if you guys aren't familiar with black metal, then you probably won't know what's going on. But for those of you who have heard of this band, who have listened to a lot of different black metal bands, you'll know that this is pretty on point as far as the genre, specifically like modern black metal. This is like the center of the bullseye in many ways. But yeah, I'm hearing a lot of a Gallic in here, or Agalloch. It's giving me the same vibes as like a Deafheaven. Overall, I think it's really interesting music, so I'm going to let the rest of it play out. I don't know if an album like this, like when they dropped this, I wonder how they organize their live sets. Let's say they play for a half hour, do they just play 2 songs? And how do they anticipate the patience from the crowd? These are long compositions, guys. This isn't something that I would particularly want to see played live. I'm being honest, not unless I had a comfy recliner to sit in, because it's not really music for dancing or moshing or even really head nodding. To me, this seems like music that you just want to marinate in. I think this is better suited to doing what I'm doing right now, which is just sitting and listening to it all the way through. Or, if you've already heard the album, you know what it is. You just lay down in bed with your noise-canceling headphones on and just let this thing play out. Yeah, I don't know why it's classified as ambient. That seems really weird to me. It feels like, to me, just very sort of straightforward black metal. At least that last track was. It's very good, very beautiful. if this was their debut, then, you know, the black metal community must have been thrilled, because this is really good stuff for a debut, man. It's even like the production on the album sounds really good. I mean, you can definitely hear all of the different instruments that are being played. It doesn't sound really muddy, it doesn't sound rough. Like before this, I know they had a demo that might have been rough, but for a debut, man, I think that this is really good for the black metal genre, man, and really ambitious on the part of this band to write songs of this length and release a debut album that's an hour long. You know, it takes a lot of confidence in yourself as musicians to be able to do that and say, okay, well, this is going to be our first album. The closer on the album is going to be 20 minutes. You know, it's like, really? That was nice. I like that one. I'm going to move on to Face in a Nighttime Mirror, Part 2. Badass first 4:30 in this song. I love how they're able to switch back and forth between the doomier sections and then the traditional black metal sound. They also had some light synthesizers, it sounded like, on the in the beginning of the track. That reminded me almost of like Emperor in the Night Side Eclipse. I don't know if you guys have heard that album, but it's a classic. I wonder if that influenced this album. I'd be curious to know that. Overall, yeah, this is really fascinating, really engaging, really interesting. Again, it's not really music that you headbang to, but it's still, for what it is, it's done very, very well. And yeah, I'm a little bit blown away that this was these guys' debut. There have been a few debuts that I've heard that have just really rocked my socks, and I couldn't believe, kind of blew my mind, and I couldn't believe that the band was able to pull that off, because usually bands don't really drop their best album until like their second, third, or fourth album, sometimes fifth album. So when I hear a debut that's just super quality, I'm always kind of surprised, and I think you could definitely put Diadem of 12 Stars in that category. I'm going to go ahead and get back to it. How'd you guys like that big post-metal section right around the 6.5 minute mark? Or starting around the 6.5 minute mark? Yeah, I don't want to evoke the names of any particular bands, but that entire section gives me that very post-metal vibe, or more post-rock, I should say, vibe. Yeah, it's just really neat to hear that in here, man. It's really neat that they're taking these different subgenres and making them like coalesce into something beautiful and different. At the end of this reaction, I'm going to go ahead and compare this band, Wolves in the Throne Room, with Dark Fortress and the two albums, Diadem of 12 Stars and Venereal Dawn, and give you guys some of my thoughts and kind of do a little compare and contrast. I'm impressed with this thing. I love this album so far. I think it's really innovative, and it may not be the first time any of these ideas have been attempted in black metal, but it's just cool to find an album that integrates so many different things that sound like Neurosis, things that sound like Emperor, things that sound like a Gallic, things that sound like Deafheaven. It's all kind of in here, and really appreciating that, really enjoying myself. So, I'm going to finish the song out. This song and this album by Wolves in the Throne Room, I think it appeals to a lot of people, or I think it should appeal to a lot of people. This sounds like black metal, so it's going to appease the purists in the genre, but it's also more relatable, I think, to people, because people, this is black metal that has sort of the ability to inspire. It's awe-inspiring, and it's kind of epic, and it has these different crescendos, and the music is constantly rising and falling and rising and falling in intensity. I think that is more fun for modern listeners. So I can see why Wolves in the Throne Room is a popular band, just based on hearing Thrice Woven and then hearing this. I actually think this is better than Thrice Woven. But I haven't heard the fourth track yet, obviously. We're about to listen to it, so I can't make, a kind of a premature judgment on that. But this is definitely, I think it keeps both camps happy. The people on the left that are into Deafheaven, and they like the more sort of cutting edge fusion takes on black metal. because this is adventurous as well. But then I think it's got enough of that, the heart and soul of the genre, to keep the old school black metal dudes and women happy. So yeah, I think this thing is all around really, really strong and a great album for a lot of different types of folks. If you're into black metal, you're probably gonna like this. It's basically what I'm saying. This song, towards the end of this song, was the first time that I started headbanging a little bit on this whole album. So yeah, again, this is not Fear Factory we're listening to. This is a totally different animal. I just think that, you know, albums like this, to me, they should only appeal to a niche group of people. But I know how popular Wolves in the Throne Room is. I know that this appeals to a lot of different people. So what can you say, man? It's like it's a very unique, interesting little slice of black metal culture and of the black metal universe, and a lot of people seem to be digging it. So these guys must be doing something right. Again, I like the dynamism in the music. You know, there's been acoustic sections on this album. There's been slowed down, doomier sections on this album. Sections where the instrumentation is dialed back, the drums slow down, but then they hit you with these more traditional black metal blast beats and tremolo picking. So very, very cool, very interesting. Next, I'm going to do the fourth track, A Shimmering Radiance, Diadem of 12 Stars. So this is pretty much the title track. This thing is 20 minutes and 22 seconds. So it's going to take a while, but what I'm going to do is stop it every 7 minutes. And if I can do that, then I'll be able to get the commentary in there. So just bear with me while I attempt to film my reaction to this thing. So this is track number 4, A Shimmering Radiance, in brackets, Diadem of 12 Stars. Every trick they've pulled off so far on this album lands in this song too. From the doomy sections that are real slowed down to the acoustic passages to the more traditional black metal, the female vocals. Again, the music sounds very triumphant and like awe-inspiring and beautiful. Yeah, this is definitely, this has the feel of a finale, this song. There's a lot to digest here in just one go, but I'm going to continue this song and see if I can make it to about the 14-minute mark, and then I'll give some more of my commentary. I'm sorry I'm not giving a whole lot of commentary on this thing. It's just that it's not, I'm not gonna lie, it's not something that really produces many thoughts in my brain. It's just that this doesn't really like lend itself to commentary in my mind. Like, to me, this is more just for kind of enveloping yourself in the world, like the soundscape that's being created and going on this journey. It doesn't feel like music that you really need to or want to get out all of the surgical tools and perform surgery on, you know? I'm going to go ahead and play this until the next break, which will be at 14 minutes. heavy doom influence in here, man. That riff that was around, God, I wish I could remember what time it was in the track. But you guys saw me go like this. That reminded me so much of like a My Dying Bride. It was really crazy to hear that on here. I think that was the best riff on the whole album, to be honest with you, and they saved it for the last track, so that's pretty cool. Yeah, there's just a lot of doom in here. At the same time, though, it's not gloomy music, so it's very interesting. But they definitely, they're definitely trying to be epic. And, if you don't have patience for a 20-minute song, like, that makes perfect sense. But if you're a black metal aficionado, though, if you consider yourself one, then I would think that you would need to listen to this album and this band's music. At least try it out, because, I don't see anything wrong with this when you talk about the standard of black metal and where it's at today. And like, this is just badass right here, man. It's very long, but there are a lot of good ideas in here. So I'm enjoying it. I'm gonna go ahead and finish out the track. Not gonna lie, I thought the end of that, like the last minute, could have been shaved off. It seemed to drag a little bit, just that last minute. But I'm nitpicking about the last minute of a 20-minute song. That was epic. That was so well done. They transitioned between all of these different styles of playing, and the song took on so many different forms. but there was also a continuity throughout the entire thing and throughout the music. I just think that Wolves in the Throne Room, they're very willing to take a certain idea and just ride that idea, you know, and just play it out and play it out for a long, long time. And I think that's why all of the songs on this album are so long, whereas other bands might have abandoned an idea after about 30 seconds. Wolves in the Throne Room will do it for a minute and a half. But the music's still dynamic. I think when they get a little bit repetitious, the point is to try to get you like inculcated, sort of indoctrinated to their sound and to the music, and to get you wrapped up in and enveloped in the sound of the music. It's not like, you know, technical death metal where we're counting riffs here and how many good riffs were in that song, and we're real concerned about not repeating ourselves and constantly moving on to something cooler and better. It's like this is more just, you just gotta sit and relax and just let it happen. Again, I thought that riff towards the middle of the song was very reminiscent of My Dying Bride, especially the song She Is the Dark, if you guys are familiar with that song. I really loved that riff in there. That was my favorite riff on the whole album. I thought that this song, Diadem of 12 Stars, was probably my favorite. It's hard to kind of distinguish them too much because they're all so long and there are so many ideas packed into each one. But I definitely, to me, this last track, this 20-minute mammoth track, definitely seems like the crown jewel of the album. Overall, super impressed with this thing. As far as Dark Fortress and this band, Wolves in the Throne Room, they're really so different. They're both in the same neighborhood as far as black metal is concerned. They're both black metal. This, when I listen to something like this, the songs are so long and it's meant to be so epic, and it's more about the mood and about the atmosphere. Like Dark Fortress does a good job of setting a nice atmosphere too, but they're more about, like, the album Venereal Dawn that I reacted to by them, but they seemed like they didn't stay on one idea for as long as these guys do. Like, these guys were reaching the point of, it seemed almost like they were treading into Neurosis territory a little bit. Dark Fortress, their songs, I think, transitioned a lot more often and more quickly, and Dark Fortress had a tendency to take the same sections and rotate them and alternate them throughout the song. But I'm just saying they kept things moving a lot more. Whereas this was sort of about taking a certain feeling or sound or certain riff and just letting it ride out for as long as possible. So they're a lot different as far as how they write songs. I think that this is adventurous enough. It's not crazy. It's just enough off of center to keep me interested. Dark Fortress seems like they throw in a lot of different elements that you don't find in here. Specifically, I'm thinking of those really strange, ominous choir vocals that Dark Fortress uses from time to time. Dark Fortress, just the music on Venereal Dawn just seemed to be a little bit more adventurous musically, a little bit more off the wall, a little bit weirder. This is a lot more close, it's not closer to center, but this is still very unconventional, I think, for the black metal genre. But like I said before, this is going to keep a lot of the purists happy if they can endure the long songs. Overall, I thought that this was a good album. Guys, if you enjoyed this video, go ahead and like, comment, subscribe to the channel. Let me know what albums you'd like to see me react to in the future. Keep in mind, try to make it something that is good in your opinion, but maybe a little underappreciated or underrated. Doesn't matter what time period it's from, doesn't matter what subgenre it's from. The only thing that matters is if I've heard it before, I'm not going to do it. And if I listen to it and don't like it, I'm not going to do it. So those are the only two things. But just shoot me your suggestions. There's going to be one more album reaction that I'm going to do. that's not a subscriber request. And then I'm going to get to a couple subscriber requests because I know you guys would like to see those albums done on this channel, and I don't want to not follow through on my word and what I said I was going to do. So just hang in there for one more upload after this. After Wolves in the Throne Room, Diadem of 12 Stars, there's going to be one more album reaction that I'm going to do just to sort of spread the wealth around a little bit more. And then I'll start to get to some of your suggestions. We've already had a couple suggestions, so I'm going to get to those. Guys, go ahead and hit that notification bell so that you get notified every time there's an upload. And I hope you have a good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night. And I will see you guys next time.